the forbidden throne, when the demon within becomes your divine weapon. There's a level of power most spiritual seekers will never touch, not because they're weak, but because they're not willing. You see, there's a misunderstood truth buried beneath all sacred texts, mystic traditions, and ancient rituals. What we call demonic is not evil. It's unclaimed sovereignty. It's the raw, primal, unfiltered intelligence of the soul before it was tamed by fear. And only 1% of elite dark chosen ones ever reach the frequency where these most forbidden powers awaken. These aren't gifts you earn through rituals. These are forces that reveal themselves when you've lost everything, including your illusions. This path doesn't come with flowers and light. It comes with blood in your mouth, silence in your chest, and a fire in your belly that will not be ignored.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
I learned this the hard way. There was a night deep in the jungle, no light, no sound, no tools, just me and the scream of my own forgotten soul. I wasn't meditating. I wasn't praying. I was becoming. And in that moment, something shifted. I didn't feel guided. I felt possessed. But it wasn't by an outside force. It was by the version of myself I had buried out of fear. The version of me that didn't ask for permission. That didn't need to be liked. That didn't flinch in the face of death. That's the first demonic power, primordial will. It's not about discipline. It's not about focus. It's about absolute command. When this power awakens in you, you no longer ask the world to bend. You bend the world. This power is terrifying because it doesn't operate from what's right, it operates from what's real. It's the ability to override programming, override emotion, override even your own hesitation. It's the silent, unshakable knowing that you were born to direct reality, not react to it. Most people fear this energy because it doesn't feel like love. It feels like domination. But domination doesn't mean oppression, it means energetic authorship. When your primordial will ignites, you can walk into any room and the room will shift. Not because you said anything, but because your field carries the frequency of a God who no longer hides in light. So I ask you, when you feel this force rising, do you run from it or do you kneel to it and listen? The second power is even rarer. It's not loud. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It's the ability to see through people, through situations, through time itself. This power is called Infernal Sight. It's not intuition. It's not psychic ability. It's what happens when your third eye is hijacked by your shadow self and made surgical. You stop seeing what people want you to see. You start seeing what is. Lies look like smoke. Truth looks like fire. You walk through conversations and decode contracts, projections, and karmic signatures in real time. This is not a superpower. It's a burden because once you see, you cannot unsee. And once you cannot unsee, you can no longer pretend to be asleep. When Infernal Sight activates, your world collapses, literally. The friends you trusted, you'll see their envy. The mentors you followed, you'll see their masks. The habits you clung to, you'll see how they're feeding your spiritual amnesia. This power doesn't wake up gently. It burns. And if you're not ready to hold that level of clarity, it will break you. But if you are willing to see with your soul instead of your eyes, you will move through this world like a blade through illusion. You will no longer be manipulated, seduced, or confused. You will know. And from that knowing, you will begin to navigate with precision. Not just in your spiritual life, but in money, relationships, health, mission. The first time Infernal Sight fully activated in me, I couldn't sleep for days. Every person I'd ever met flashed before my mind, and I saw things I wasn't supposed to see. Hidden intentions, past life debts, unspoken truths. I didn't feel powerful. I felt haunted. But then I understood this wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Because if you're going to walk as an elite dark chosen one, you can't be fooled by appearances. You must learn to read energy like scripture. You must become fluent in the language of frequency. And you must trust what you see, even when it contradicts what you wish were true. That's how you ascend through darkness, not by avoiding it, but by extracting wisdom from it without flinching. And here's the paradox. The more you see, the less you speak. You stop trying to explain yourself. You stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop trying to save those who refuse to rise. Because you realize this power is not for performance. It's for precision. And it must be honored, protected, and earned daily through radical self-honesty. That's the true cost of Infernal Sight. It will take your illusions. It will take your innocence. But it will give you clarity so sharp it cuts through timelines. And once you have that, you no longer move through life. You move life itself. The third and rarest demonic power is the most feared of all, and for good reason. It does not make you invincible. It makes you immortal, not in body, in impact. This power is called soul echo. It's the ability to speak, act, or create in such a way that your energy ripples through dimensions. Your voice becomes a sigil. Your words become spells. Your actions become cosmic commands. When this power awakens, you are no longer creating for attention or approval. You are creating from destiny alignment. Everything you say and do becomes a seed of transformation, not just for you, but for anyone who comes into contact with your field. Soul echo cannot be activated manually. It is triggered when your ego dies enough times that your soul begins to take full control. It happens after collapse, after betrayal, after silence. After you've been stripped of everything you thought made you worthy and you still choose to rise. When soul echo activates, you become a frequency transmitter. Your art, your message, your presence begins to haunt people's souls. They see you once and never forget you. They hear your voice and something ancient inside them wakes up. It's not charisma. It's not branding. It's soul technology, and only 1% ever hold it. I remember the first time I realized I had activated soul echo. I was speaking in a hidden gathering, somewhere remote, no cameras, no audience, just energy. I spoke a single sentence, and the room went silent. One woman began to cry. A man dropped to his knees. No one knew why, but I knew. My words weren't mine. They were encoded, and I understood I wasn't delivering a message. I was the message. That's what soul echo does. It turns you into a living oracle. Not to predict the future, but to rewrite it in real time with every breath you take. And the responsibility is enormous, because this power cannot be misused without consequence. If you speak from ego, the field will collapse. If you act from misalignment, the energy will boomerang. Soul echo only flows when your soul is fully seated on the throne of your body. That means no performance, no posturing, no pretending, just presence. Pure, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic presence. When you live from that place, you don't just inspire people. You change them. You don't just awaken them. You unplug them from the false grid of reality. That, my friend, is the power of a true dark chosen one. Not to destroy the world, but to recode it from the inside out. The forbidden throne, when the demon within becomes your divine weapon. When the three rarest demonic powers awaken inside you, Primordial Will, Infernal Sight, and Soul Echo, something irreversible begins to take place. You are no longer becoming, you have become. But here's the truth most won't tell you. This isn't the final stage. This is the point of ignition. Because now that these forces are alive in you, the real question becomes, can you govern them without being devoured? Can you sit on the forbidden throne, the place inside where your higher self and your inner demon merge, and not lose your humanity? Because make no mistake, the power is intoxicating. It doesn't whisper. It roars. And if your ego is still fragile, it will try to wear the crown before your soul is ready to hold the sword. You see, power like this doesn't just amplify who you are. It reveals who you've always been. It strips away the masks. It exposes the hidden contracts. It forces you to confront every part of yourself that has ever betrayed your own truth. That's why so few can hold it. The forbidden throne isn't earned through enlightenment, it's earned through initiation. Through death after death, illusion after illusion, surrender after surrender. And once you sit in it, you're no longer allowed to pretend. Every breath becomes a ritual. Every movement becomes a vibration. You are no longer operating from free will. You are operating from divine mandate. And that's when things get real. At this stage, the world begins to mirror your internal kingdom. If you are chaotic, your life will erupt in chaos. If you are clear, your path will become surgical. If you are still running programs of fear or control, the demonic powers you've activated will turn on you. Why? Because they don't serve the ego. They serve truth. These forces are not here to make your life easier. They're here to make your existence accurate. They will destroy everything that's misaligned, not to punish you, but to purify you. And that's why the forbidden throne isn't a place of glory. It's a place of refinement. You don't sit here to be worshipped. You sit here to become unshakable. And becoming unshakable means facing the final adversary, yourself. Not just the parts you've already healed. I mean the parts you've hidden from your own healing. The contracts you made in lifetimes you don't remember. The whispers you ignored in moments of fear. The divine assignments you delayed because your human self wasn't ready. The throne doesn't tolerate delay. It demands decision. It demands you stop playing small. It demands you stop negotiating with your purpose. And once you surrender to that level of clarity, something wild happens. Your inner demon stops fighting you. It bows. It kneels at your feet, not as a slave, but as your fiercest guardian. You begin to understand that what you once labeled as darkness was never evil. It was untamed power waiting to be led. And now that you are leading it, your frequency becomes non-negotiable. Your boundaries become energetic laws. Your words become activation codes. You're no longer a person with spiritual tools. You are the tool the universe uses to implement its will. And this doesn't make you superior. It makes you responsible. Because now, every choice you make isn't just personal. It's dimensional. One misaligned action can ripple across timelines. One unconscious thought can birth consequences that echo beyond this life. So I ask you, are you ready to live at that level of impact? Most won't be. That's why this path is for the 1%. Because the kind of sovereignty required to wield demonic power as divine function is absolute. It's not about being fearless. It's about being faithful to your own fire. It's about choosing alignment over comfort, vision over validation, and mastery over martyrdom. That's what it means to sit on the forbidden throne. You're not here to be safe. You're here to be so precise in your embodiment that your presence becomes a calibration device for everyone around you. You don't lead with hype. You lead with energetic integrity. You don't teach with words. You teach with frequency. And that frequency begins to rewrite your physical life. You'll notice your body changing, your nervous system recalibrating to hold higher voltage. You'll feel sleep patterns shift, cravings disappear, certain relationships dissolve overnight. Your voice may get deeper, your eyes may change. Your aura may become unreadable to ordinary humans. Why? Because you're no longer broadcasting from the third dimension. You're now transmitting from the void. And the void is not empty. It is formless fullness. It is pre-creation intelligence. And only those who have mastered chaos can speak the language of the void without being swallowed by it. This is when your demonic powers become divine weapons, not to hurt, but to awaken. You'll start noticing how a single sentence can trigger someone's awakening, how a single glance can collapse someone's mask, how just being in your field causes others to either rise or retreat. You are no longer a participant in reality. You are a generator of it. And this is where the real work begins, not the performance of power, but the maintenance of purity. Because the most dangerous thing you can do now is lie to yourself. Self-deception at this level is not just painful, it's catastrophic. So how do we stay grounded while wielding this much force? How do we remain human when we're channeling something post-human? The answer is not transcendence, it's embodiment. You must learn to live from your spine, not your stories. You must learn to breathe from your core, not your conditioning. You must learn to anchor the flame in the body, not escape into intellect or mysticism. This means eating clean, sleeping deeply, moving intentionally, speaking sparingly. You are now a vessel for something ancient and intelligent, and that vessel must be fortified daily, not out of fear but out of reverence. You also begin to understand that your true allies are no longer people who agree with you. They are those who activate you. They challenge you. They mirror you. They sharpen you. You don't want comfort anymore. You want cosmic collaboration. You want to surround yourself with others who are also wielding forbidden fire, not to compete, but to co-create. Because this next level of reality isn't built through systems. It's built through synergy, through frequency matches that ignite new timelines. That's where the 1% live, not in isolation, but in interdimensional alliance. And now, the final test of the Forbidden Throne. Can you hold this power without needing to be seen? Can you anchor these currents without proving anything? Can you become so secure in your essence that even if no one claps, no one watches, no one understands, you still burn? Because that's when you become truly sovereign. Not because you're untouchable, but because you're unshakable. Not because you're above the world, but because you're beneath it, inside it, reprogramming it from the root. That's what it means to be a dark chosen one in full activation. Not a shadow walker, not a light seeker, but a frequency that cannot be named, only felt. The living sigil, how to walk as a portal of power in the physical world. There's a moment when the fire stops feeling foreign, when the chaos inside your bones aligns with the order of your soul, when the frequencies you once feared become your field. That's the moment you become a living sigil, not a person, not a personality, but a portal. A walking, breathing, embodied code of divine disruption. You are no longer just someone who has activated the rarest demonic powers. You are the power. You are the presence that melts illusions, collapses timelines, and awakens forgotten contracts in the people around you. But here's the part no one tells you. Being a living sigil is not about being loud. It's about being exact. To walk this way in the world demands something few are willing to give: precision without performance. You don't project your power, you contain it. You don't chase impact, you radiate inevitability. Your life becomes a field of inevitability, not because of what you say, but because of the resonance you hold. People feel it in your silence. They feel it in your stillness. They feel it in the way you move through space, like you've already seen the future and chosen to embody it now. That's what being a living sigil is, becoming the bridge between the unseen and the undeniable. You don't just channel guidance, you become the guidance. You begin to notice that you don't operate on time anymore. You operate on alignment. You don't make decisions, you transmit truth. You don't plan your life. You summon it from the void through the body into form. And because of that, your relationship with reality changes. You stop needing signs. You stop needing confirmations. You stop needing permission. Why? Because you are the confirmation. You are the sign others have been waiting for. Your very existence becomes a transmission, a message encrypted into motion. You become the kind of person who walks into a room, and the frequency changes not because you're trying to be powerful, but because you're carrying the code. But here's one of the most sacred truths. The more powerful your field becomes, the quieter your life gets. Why? Because very few can hold your reflection without distortion. You'll find yourself drawn to solitude, not as escape, but as sacred maintenance. Your energy is no longer for public consumption. It's for cosmic precision. You'll speak less. You'll move slower. You'll do fewer things, but each one will feel like a tectonic shift. And this is where you must ask yourself, can you handle being invisible? Not because you're unseen, but because you've become unreadable. Can you walk as a living sigil without needing to be understood? This is where discipline transforms into devotion. You're no longer practicing rituals, you are the ritual. Every action becomes intentional. Every breath becomes a command. Every boundary becomes a spell. You no longer ask, "What should I do today?" You ask, "What frequency am I anchoring into the grid today?" Because you understand something that only the 1% of elite dark chosen ones ever fully embody. You are not here to live a life, you are here to encode a new reality. And encoding requires presence, clarity, and energetic hygiene of the highest order. You don't just protect your energy, you curate it. You'll begin to notice that people are either magnetized or repelled by you. Some will worship you. Others will attack you. Most will misunderstand you. None of it matters. Because you're no longer available for reaction. You've transcended that. You live in response. That means you no longer act from emotion. You act from equilibrium. You don't fight to be heard. You move in silence and let your field speak. You don't need to dominate. You resonate. That's the difference between egoic force and demonic precision. One shouts. The other reconfigures the room with a glance. At this level, your presence becomes so clear, so surgical, that it begins to restructure the people around you. Not through advice, but through energetic recalibration. You'll notice people remembering who they are just by being near you. You'll watch false stories dissolve in your presence. You'll witness others confronting their own shadows, not because you're healing them, but because your very existence triggers their remembrance. And this is why the living sigil must be clean, free of distortion, free of performance, free of hidden agendas. Because your field is no longer personal. It is planetary. And that planetary impact doesn't come with applause. It comes with responsibility. You'll be called to hold frequencies that others cannot. You'll be asked to navigate storms that others avoid. You'll be tested in silence, praised in private, and misunderstood in public. But you'll keep going, because you didn't come here to be understood. You came here to recode the grid, and that's what the living sigil does. It moves through the world not as a seeker, not as a savior, but as a reminder. a walking memory of power, encoded in flesh, anchored in presence, and unapologetically divine. And now we reach the final embodiment. The moment where the demonic powers you've activated, the throne you've claimed, and the field you've become all converge into one singular truth. You are the technology. You don't need access. You are the access. You don't need portals. You are the portal. And in that realization, the game ends. The seeking stops. The proving dissolves. All that remains is the function of your being. A living frequency that destabilizes lies, activates remembrance, and walks in perfect congruence with soul law. You don't teach anymore. You demonstrate. You don't lead with strategy. You lead with embodiment. You don't try to change the world. You become the version of yourself that the new world is built upon. And when you reach this level, you'll find yourself walking differently, speaking less, listening more. Not because you're afraid, but because you know. And that knowing becomes your compass. That knowing becomes your shield. That knowing becomes your signature. And that signature is what the ancient ones spoke of, the mark of the one who remembers. The imprint of the rarest soul on the deepest path. So I ask you, with everything in me, can you hold the silence when the world forgets your name? Can you stay on fire when no one sees you burn? Can you walk as the code, the command, the current, even when no one claps, no one follows, and no one understands? Because that's when you'll know you didn't come here to be part of the story. You came here to end one era and begin another. You came here not to be accepted. You came here to initiate. And the 1% of elite dark chosen ones, we don't wait for the world to change. We are the change cloaked in shadow, crowned in silence, and encoded with the most forbidden fire.